Okay. Once again, thank you everybody for agreeing to be part of this chit chat around your coaching experiences. And as we chatted before, let me just briefly ask the first kind of question, and that is, why did you choose coaching at all? What did you hope to get from the coaching program, and that kind of motivation for the program? Anything to share, maybe?
Maybe I can go.
Thanks.
So overall, I think for the last couple of years, I've been thinking, should I make my own sort of conversations that I have with my network a bit more professional and solidified, maybe somehow in my career. And I was lucky enough that my employer also supported this idea, and also is helping me to maybe also find a way how I can apply it overall internally. And then I thought, why not to actually have a proper certification in coaching, get the basis, the learnings, and also meet fellow peers and then exchange knowledge via that sort of channel. Because overall, in a few years, ideally, I would like to become an exec coach, and I think that's a great setting stone overall.
Great, thanks, Alla. Something to add, Marcela? Maher, whatever.
My motivation was to pretty similar. Actually, I'm not in the role of a team leader at the moment or having a team, but it's like I really wanted to kind of dig deeper into that area and try to see how can it help me in my current role as I work with people, lots of them on a people partner role, and it's like needed on the everyday basis pretty much. So people always reach out to you in different kinds of settings and in different kinds of requests, and also teams and groups, and it's really good to have that knowledge. But also, ever since I started, it's like I was more and more motivated to really consider that, like taking it further into the future as well. So I'm kind of like rethinking where I want to be in a couple of years, and it really opened the door of how wonderful it can be and how the skills can help us in everyday way.
So some sort of coaching enthusiast so far. Maher, are you on that page or something else?
There's definitely a bit from what Alla and Marcela have mentioned, but also I think as part of my my work and my role in the HR space, it's kind of like natural to, when you deal with a lot of internal stakeholders, like coaching is a necessary skill from one aspect. And the fact that I have worked a lot with it or around it in the past as part of learning and development and even creating like some of the content and so on, I always wanted to become a certified coach, just from one aspect, even if you know the skills, but also the credibility that the certification as well adds to it. Like you've been on that journey, you've put some time and effort to really invest and become better at it. Was a bit of what were some of those drivers. And also like looking again, like a few years down the road, as I'm growing more and more in my roles, like that need for senior leadership type of coaching as well is becoming more and more of a necessity. And I'm seeing it as natural part of what I do. So I'm like, why not? And let me add that official certification to it and go through that journey, see what people go through, experience it hands-on as well, and so on. So yeah.
Yeah. So some sort of practical need plus the need to get certified for some sort of validation purpose, market validation, or let's call it whatever, but some professional recognition. So that would be maybe the scope of your responses. Thanks. Okay, you went through the ICF program with Coaching Center. It's still on. As far as I know, it's not complete yet, but almost there. What were some of your experiences with it? Some of the highlights, maybe. What did you like about the program in particular, if anything? Whoever wants to start.
I could start. I think the major highlight, which was a blind zone for me, was the group and the team coaching specifically, but the group coaching in particular. Because I always thought like, okay, coaching a team or a group of people, like it should be the same thing. But once those distinctions started becoming more and more clear, there's a lot of aha, like it was literally an aha moment. It's like, oh, so this is what this means. And then when I started linking it to some of current business context, so when you deal with different stakeholders, not necessarily in the same team, like I started to see the value in it and the future applicability of it if I want to do a bit more of that, let's say within the organization or with other teams. But for me, certainly that new area of group and team coaching by itself was very helpful. And like, yeah, that was my aha moment.
Yeah, great, thanks. Because it's interesting that you're sharing this. Often on the program, we see a lot of stumbling upon group coaching in specific. It comes as at the end of the individual coaching module before team. And of course, individual is most common. People have even quite a lot of experience with that. Most of people have been coached, been coaches. And with teams also, people have some sort of idea because of maybe agile people and retrospectives and that kind of frames. But group coaching comes as, what is this? And often there is some sort of confusion and even a pushback, like, oh, what it's not clear enough. How do we do this? And so on. So it's interesting that you're sharing exactly this. And group coaching is some sort of, I don't know, pet of mine. When I did my PhD 10 years ago or so, it was group coaching, program delivery, implementation, and so on. So I treat it as some sort of a pet, which is a little bit like, nobody likes it. The organizations don't ask for it quite often. Much often they ask for team coaching or for one-on-one coaching, but it definitely has some sort of organizational purpose and its place. So thanks for sharing that, Matthew.
Oh, no problem. And I think, if I may add as well to that, Jelena, I think also one of the additional reasons why it really like scratched an itch or hit a spot is because a lot of the current work with flatter organization, like the need for a group coaching type of an approach is becoming more and more evident. And I'm experiencing that a bit with what we do and with a lot of my friends in different companies. So that's an additional reason why it also is like, okay, this is something that could be used in this particular context nowadays. So
yeah. So flat organization, not necessarily team-based, but rather some sort of like organizational communication that is divided into groups and has that kind of flavor of people decide.
Cross-functional,
Yeah, definitely. Alla, you open the mic, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, big +1 to that for me was also a discovery, let's say. I'm still not sure where do I stand with my attitude and whether I like it or not, or whether I understand it fully or not. I'm still going through that journey. What I liked about the program, though, is also the versatility of it. I also liked that we got a chance to see different types of coaches in action as well, and not just one. Different styles, different ways of how it can be done. In the beginning, I was quite rigid with this, and I was like, okay, I actually really want to see good examples. I really see how what good looks like. But then overall, I also sort of appreciated the way that it was a bit sort of pushing out of the comfort zone, really going out there and trying out. Also, the peer-to-peer coach factor really helps. And I also appreciate very open environment for feedback. So you also have that psychological safety where you don't have to be like, oh my God, what are they going to think about me and stuff. Like there is a really nice environment and area where you can express yourself, where you can ask lots of questions, get absolutely different perspectives. And it's not really like right or wrong. It's more like, what else can we do? What else can we explore? And it's quite unique, I think, for a course generally to have that. So I really appreciate that overall.
Thank you so much, Alla. Marcela, something to add, some different perspective, or agreeing with Maher and Alla?
I totally agree, and especially with what Alla said about the feeling and the atmosphere of every session, and it kind of felt really pleasant to be a part of it, and especially where you get to connect with a lot of people while you collaborate on different ways of working. And I just want to add to that a really good ways of working through like good practical examples, case studies, and really like pushing ourselves to do something and not just to go and listen and turn off the camera and, you know, be there, but really to participate and to kind of, I like most of the things I feel I learned is like through the sessions themselves. And all the practical examples, and not by reading something after and before and so on. So it's really, really useful.
Great to hear that. My heart goes singing when I hear this kind of feedback. There are definitely probably things that can be improved on the program, and there will be an official, some sort of survey on things which could be improved. So I encourage you also to take part in that. I'm not recording that part where you say what can be improved intentionally. I'm joking, of course, but we really appreciate your feedback also on what can be improved, like what did you dislike or didn't like so much, and that kind of things, because in end of January we have another cohort, and we really like to improve on the go from each generation. Feedback, improve, feedback, improve. So I guess your experience in the program already has been like a couple of rounds or iterations of improvement. So it's never perfect, obviously, but and perfection is probably not really our style of working, but just like following our passion, your feedback, and some sort of mix of those. That would be the idea of the service. So please do expect that also to come somewhere when the program ends. And the last thing that I wanted to ask you was around your some sort of future applications, or not necessarily like what's your next step in terms of some sort of career shift or like career path, not that formal, but rather how do you plan or wish to put into practice some of the things that equipped you on the program? How do you see it? Where do you see opportunities? Anything on that side?
I can start. I mean, I really see already, like when we started with the program, I saw immediately that some of the pieces I can implement starting from that session, and it really kind of helped even to open the mind to new kind of possibilities. And for the future, I am 100% sure that I will use it like probably every day, because I work with a lot of managers, with a lot of people, and they really do have a big demand, especially in a tech company. And I think it's going to be very useful, not only for individual, but also for team coaching. So yeah, that part for sure.
Great, thanks. Maher, Alla, your story is where next?
Well, I mean, in my case, I think whether it's coaching in general, like applying all of the coaching techniques and so on that we went through, definitely I see like one of the main applications would be in my role moving forward, depending on the type of teams I'm going to be working with, or managing like teams in terms of internal stakeholders. So definitely in my current position, there's a use as part of our 2023, for example, objectives in terms of coaching programs and so on, and bridging that training and coaching approach, where if we're training on a particular topic, why not use a coaching methodology to apply some of those topics, and that's on the professional side, but also on the personal side as well. Like I would really also like to start exploring that one-on-one coaching application. I still don't know where. Like I know Alla mentioned executive coaching. I still don't know where that niche is, for example, or if there should be one for all that matters. But certainly as well to start experimenting and exploring where would I like to grow that one-on-one coaching practice on a personal level, and so on. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Maybe a feedback, like an instant feedback there. When the coaching started to develop and grow, really, and it's hard to locate it in time, but let's say some 15 to 20 years ago, here local in the region, maybe 10 years ago, executive coaching was like the huge thing, because it was like only executives had access to it. Nowadays, it's not only all levels of management in various companies, if flat ones, not flat ones, and so on. But even people who are like specialist position, not leading people and so on, offering access to coaching, especially now with larger companies like Better Up, Coach Hub, and everything else that exists in the world, many of those. So it's like Maher said, this kind of thing, if there is a niche for executive coaching, I think nowadays there is much smaller niche than there used to be some 15 or 20 years ago. It's become like a widespread movement. Everybody needs coaching. I don't know, again, if it's good or bad, but I like the general idea of access. Many people now have access to it.
Yeah.
In terms of methodology, basically it's the same thing. So you do it the same way with executives and people who are, I don't know, just onboarded as a first-time job at some specialist position. So it's like the same methodology, but definitely the methodology in terms of the curriculum, like curriculum would be the same. But your approach and what an executive would expect from you and somebody who is the first-time position for that job, expectations informally would be different. Executives would ask for much more sharing, feedback, that kind of, even like some sort of almost peer-to-peer or mentor bits and pieces of that, while somebody maybe who is for the first time coached, first time in some job or position, maybe would be more like this kind of general coaching, like let me think, let's maybe although maybe it sounds counterintuitive, but maybe the longer careers, people ask for more ideas from your side. It's maybe, I don't know, counterintuitive, but definitely my kind of experience at least.
Yeah, and also in terms of niche as well, Jelena, where my mind is also exploring is also industries. So, for example, is it a sports type of coaching with athletes? Is it, I'm working in the entertainment business right now, like there's a huge need in the entertainment business with actors, producers, directors. So it's also figuring out the industry, whether there should be a figuring out or not, and also the levels within those types of industries. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting journey to figure that out.
Yeah, maybe yes. Just to add there, but Maher has just inspired me. I know that Alla also. I'm looking forward to Alla's response here. We started as a company oriented toward corporates, and still are definitely. In the beginning, I don't know, 10 years ago, those were banks, for example, here in the region who asked for coaching. In the last 5 years, almost only tech companies. There are, of course, some manufacturing, this and that, but basically it's tech companies here in Serbia that ask for coaching or coach training or that kind of services. But there are some sort of at least experiment for 2023 would be a little bit more towards retail, and it's like a huge actual experiment in my hand. I see it as a wow, reoriented. We're still keeping the corporate track, but going a little bit into not media and some sort of entertainment, as Maher said, but rather fitness industry, trying to put more psychological coaching into fitness trainers, their kind of education, blending maybe some sort of fitness movement that is at least here regionally, like in a huge boom, I think internationally probably also, and blending that with mental well-being coaching. So that would be our kind of, where do we go next, like as coaching center? But it will be an experiment and exciting one. So we'll let you know how that went. Alla, where do you go next?
Sure. I think my path is overall to explore and find ways how I can apply the knowledge that I've learned and then expand. I think I'm definitely not ready yet to become an exec coach. There are certain areas that I still would like to explore, see what works, what doesn't work. I've actually from my network already received a few sort of questions. Oh, would you like to try coach me? And generally, I don't know why, but people come to me with life coaching questions. So I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind and go that direction, or maybe I can do both. I think that's also possible. But overall, I'll be looking for ways of how can I also apply it as much as possible. I've been leading quite a big team so far generally, and that's where I'm also trying to see like, okay, what is actually management, what is coaching, and really draw that line and see, okay, where is more coaching needed, where is more management needed. So, and also moving forward, since, you know, the company where I work, they are aware that I'm also doing that. I'll be also looking for ways of how I can maybe contribute to some learning programs within the organization and see how we can expand and spin off that coaching aventure that I'm currently going through.
Great, really great stories. Thank you so much for this. As a small thank you, I would like to offer to send you a copy of my book, but now in paper. I know that you don't have it on the platform. In case you already have it, perhaps you can switch it with some of the books from Peter Hawkins. So just type me in the email your addresses, where would you like the book to be delivered, and whether my book or Peter's, whatever you choose, perfectly fine. I won't get offended if you choose Peter's book. I would choose Peter's book. So whatever you like, just drop me your address, physical one, and what book you prefer. And that's a small thank you for giving away your time for me today in this recording. I can stop recording, obviously, now. So we'll cut.